I'm here with Vijay Vachani, the head of developer ecosystem for Creative Cloud Platform from Adobe. And thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So we talked a little bit yesterday. I attended one of the plugin, the plugin overview. It's a web, like it was a seminar type of thing, a little workshop, and I learned how easy it was. I was really impressed with how easy it is for anybody to be able to create a plugin and be able to use JSON and JavaScript and also CSS and HTML. Can you tell me a little bit about why you guys set it up the way you did?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things, if you know much about Adobe's history, most of our products, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Premiere, After Effects, et cetera, have been extensible for years.
Yeah.
So they've had plugins for, the thousands of plugins for the last 20 years or so. And when we decided we needed to introduce extensibility and an ecosystem around XD, we obviously evaluated the extensibility frameworks we had on our flagship products and realized they really weren't fitting for XD. Right? And one of the reasons is performance. So plugins, the way they operate on our flagship apps, A, because they use CEF, and B, because they use ExtendScript, which is an older technology, they're slower, right? And we wanted one of XD's core principles is simplicity and speed, performance, and so we wanted to make sure we provided a technology that was performant. The second main reason is probably the age of the technology. The flagship apps use ExtendScript, which is based on ACMAScript 3, which is a 20-year-old JavaScript.
Based on ActionScript?
ACMAScript.
Oh, ACMAScript.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's old.
Yeah.
And most modern JavaScript developers don't want to use it. And so we wanted to make sure we had a modern JS bridge that we could use, JS VM that we could use for XD. And lastly was cross-platform. And so one of XD's things, and as you can see across our other apps as well, is that we want to bring our apps to mobile. And we want our plugins to work across the desktop app and across their corresponding mobile app. And by nature of the extensibility frameworks in the flagship apps, you can't do that. And so we wanted to build an extensibility model we call UXP, Unified Extensibility Platform, for XD that addresses those three things. And hopefully over time we can bring it across our flagships as well, and we'll do that over the next couple of years. But in XD, those are some of the reasons we made the decisions we did. Speed, performance, simplicity, modernity.
And also the ability to make it really easy for anybody to create a plugin. Like it's like, so they were saying that you don't need an API or an SDK to necessarily create a plugin for XD. Is that correct, or am I?
You don't need one, but you use XD's APIs.
You use XD's APIs.
So you use the Scene Graph API or File I/O or Network I/O to make calls to your file system or network calls to operate on the Scene Graph.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need an API.
I'm coming from the background of being a designer who knows some code. Like I actually know HTML, CSS really well.
You know more code than I do, probably.
Really?
Yeah.
And then I know I know some JavaScript, but not enough to like. Well, I know enough, but not, like I can look at it and figure it out. But that is, I think that's really fascinating how you guys are making it like cleaner, I would call it, for people to be able to create plugins.
Sure.
And okay, one last thing. What else do we have? Anything else that we would like to add about? Well, hold on a second. I'm trying to think of one more thing that I find interesting about the new XD plugin developer interface. What do you guys see? How are you planning on spreading the word to get to get more people on board?
Sure. I mean, I think so. Extensibility is critical for XD, right? One of the things we want, and this is really critical for all of our applications. People are using dozens and dozens of services in their day-to-day workflows, whether that's project management or importing data or collaboration or sharing. There's just so many things that people do, either because of preference or because they're in verticals or geographies that dictate the tools that they use. And so we need to open up our platforms across all of our apps to enable development, enable interoperability. So that's why it's so important to us. And the way we're getting the word out, we're doing a bunch of things, right? We've launched the Adobe Fund for Design. You guys are a part of that, so that we can invest and give grants to leaders in the space, people that have emerging ideas, who are innovating, who have companies we believe in and we believe help shape the future of design. And so we're doing that as a way to cultivate innovation, a way to drive a larger community. we do things like Max, where we market, we do a bunch of go-to-market motions with those developers, with those partners, so that, our attendees and our customers actually see the integrations, right? None of this matters. None of the platform doesn't matter. The ecosystem we build around the platform doesn't matter if our customers can't actually find and use those things. And so we're doing a ton, at least we're trying to do a ton, to drive discoverability, whether that's, like I said, through event marketing like this, event activations, or it's through emails that we send to the users of the apps, or it's through social media, or it's through case studies and blog posts. We want to make sure the users are aware of things, and if users are aware of things, that makes developers want to build more, right? They want to get in front of those users. And so on top of the user community, we want to build around our extensions. We want to build a developer community that can support itself, a developer community that's incentivized, that shares incentives with us, that finds value in the platform and finds value in the audience that they can reach through our apps.
Yeah.
So hopefully by doing all those things and continuing to build a solid platform, we'll continue to build the community.
Absolutely. I think that, honestly, maybe you should start with like focusing on the designer community, because they're going to drive the developers to want to work on the project.
Totally.
You know, like it's all about the usability and the. I know you guys, like, that's what I love about the XD team, and I've been part of watching XD all the way since Project Comet, and part of like Damien Borba and I work very closely together on some events and such.
Good.
And but I just love how you guys are so flexible and agile, and you follow the design process, and I feel like they could. You can educate a lot of people about that and carry that on into the platform.
Totally, the single most important constituent for the platform, for the ecosystem, is the designer or the user of our various products. So when we think about which plugins we want developers to build, when we think about what they should look and feel like, how they should be introduced in the application, how our users should be exposed to them, when they should be exposed to them, it's all driven by the design workflow and the designer's needs. So we hope to continue to get feedback from them that we can ultimately deliver back to the developer community, or build a platform that's simple enough that the designers themselves can engage with it and build plugins. That's another reason we built it the way we did.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No problem.
It was good. Good. Yeah. And then how do they follow you? Are you on Twitter? Or
I am. I don't have a lot of. I don't do a ton of Twitter. But you can follow me on Twitter, Vijay Vachani.
Or LinkedIn or anything.
Yeah, my name.
Where do they go?
I'm the only one at Adobe.
Where do they go if they want to build a plugin?
You go to AdobeXDPlatform.com.
All right.
Yeah.
AdobeXDPlatform.com.
Yep. And so that's where you go to build a plugin. Then we have a developer console called Adobe I/O. That's where you basically create your plugin ID. You register your plugin with us. That's where you submit it so that it shows up in our marketplace.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go build a plugin.
Great.
Adobe
awesome.
XD Platform.
Do it. Bye.